Okay, good evening, everyone. I know it's a few minutes early, but I think we have our first few presenters here, so I'm going to call the meeting to order just a bit early. This is a special meeting of the City of Urbana Committee of the Whole, and so first we will call the roll.
Ms. Barnes, Mr. Bowersox,
Here.
Mr. Garrick,
Here.
Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Mr. Roberts,
Here.
Mr. Smythe, Ms. Stevenson,
Present.
Mayor Pressing.
Here. Okay, thank you. So the only agenda item this evening is to hear presentations about the Consolidated Social Service Funding Pool. And I believe our first presenter, each presenter has 10 minutes except for one organization's here with 2 proposals, so we gave them 5 minutes more. We'll kind of hold people to the 10-minute rule and change topics and call the next presenter up after 10 minutes. So I know if you present for about 5 or 7 minutes, then we'll probably have some questions here after your presentation. The first presenter, and you can come up, is Veronica Hemrick, if I hope I pronounced that right, with the Cooperative Nursery School of Champaign-Urbana for 2009-2010 scholarships. So welcome. The microphone is the little black mouse-looking thing in the middle of the table, so that's how people can hear you at home, and we can record you for posterity. So if you introduce yourself and your colleague,
Sure.
and tell us about your project.
This is going to be difficult. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, good. Not as difficult. My name is Veronica Hemrick. I'm currently the treasurer of the Cooperative Nursery School of Champaign-Urbana, and this is Anna Check. She is the director and our head teacher. I will be giving as quick and to-the-point presentation as I can to you about what co-op is, who we are, what we do, and pretty much why we're asking for this grant this year. And then any of the difficult questions, she gets to take. So with that in mind, Co-op Nursery School is actually a nonprofit, non-sectarian organization that's owned, maintained, and administrated by the parents of each of the children who are enrolled in the school. This is one of the oldest cooperative nursery schools in the area. It started in 1946. It has been continuously operating as a cooperative nursery school in the Urbana and Champaign area since that time. There are basically 5 classes that the cooperative has and does. One is the Good Beginnings class, which is a parent-child play group facilitated by a preschool teacher. And this is essentially an introduction for both the parent and the child to primary education, preschool education. Very interactive. Parents are encouraged to be participating and playing, etc., with the child, and they get a lot of guidance as well. We have a 2s class, a 3s class, and a 4-5s class. Again, they're all preschool classes. It's DCFS qualified head teacher and 2 parents in every classroom. The 2 parents are rotated throughout the month and week by week, and they are the parents of the children involved in the preschool program. Again, it is setting up, if you will, a head start to going into the kindergarten program in Urbana and in Champaign. Again, very interactive. We deal heavily with parenting skills, interaction with children, communication skills, cognitive skills, all of the things that form a good basis for a good education later on, for both the parents and the children. Finally, we have summer programs. These are for mixed age groups of children from the 2s, 3s, and 4-5 classes, and only from those classes. We don't accept outside of the school kids for those programs. They're sort of a transitional program and a continuation. And having said that, I'd like Anna to talk a little bit about the curriculum.
We follow the creative curriculum, which is a written curriculum by Diane Trister Dodge. It's also the same curriculum that the Urbana schools use in their early childhood program. It meets all of the Illinois early learning standards. So I feel that the preschool education that they get at our school is equal to what they would get in Head Start programs, public school programs. It's child initiated, which means that it can be individualized for each child. So kids learn at different scales, so we're able to adjust our activities so that everyone in the class is progressing at their abilities, I guess. And that's about it.
Short and sweet. Why are we asking for the grant money now? We thought we'd preempt any potential questions and just get this out of the way. And we hope we have a good answer. We're asking for a little over $5,000, and while that is no longer a drop in the bucket given the current economy, it is going to be or would be used specifically to fund a scholarship for each of our classes. One for the Good Beginnings class, one for the 2s, one for the 3s, one for the 4-5s class, and one for the summer programs. It will be a full scholarship. That means it would take the child and adult through 10 full months of classes. We are looking to increase community outreach. The Cooperative Nursery School is a wonderful school, but it's also somewhat of a well-kept secret, and we get a lot of our constituents, a lot of our clients, a lot of our kids and our parents from word of mouth. And while we do advertising in decks and we, do it at various other places, oftentimes because of that word of mouth, we don't have as much diversity as we would like to have in our class. And that's about as blunt as I can get at this point. So we're looking for that, for community outreach and for more diversity, both for our students and for the scholarship students and families that would come and join our community. And then why are we asking right now as opposed to last year, the year before that? Sort of have a two-pronged answer. One is the economy is a lot worse now than it was last year, and we're even seeing with our own families that are currently enrolled in the cooperative school that they're needing economic help that we're having to give them just to get through the rest of this academic year, let alone next year. And frankly, we have a pretty progressive board this year, and the topic came up, and we're trying to follow through with that. Anything else you want to add?
No. I guess they can ask questions.
I think that's it.
Great. Yeah. Any questions for Veronica or Anna? Dennis, go ahead, and then the mayor.
Yeah. In that I've not had the experience of raising children and going through like nursery and elementary and the 2s and 3s and 4s in particular, but I do have friends who run a Montessori school, and I visited their school. Is the curriculum that you prepare and lead in the classroom somewhat similar in creativity and scope to the Montessori system, which I'm a little bit more familiar with? Or you said that the curriculum is using the creative curriculum by Diana Estergaard or
Trista Dodge.
Trista Dodge. So I'm not all that familiar with it, but it's an interactive curriculum, I assume. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
It's like I said, it's child initiated. So like in my classroom, I teach the 4 and the 5s. I look at their interests and plan my curriculum or plan the activities around their interests. Right now, we're doing an architecture study because we've had lots of children who were interested in building in the classroom. So we've done that. As far as Montessori, the difference between Montessori is really individualized. The children work on their own little trays. I mean, if it's a true Montessori, the activities are set up and everything's individualized to that particular child. We group the children together, and they have a choice of what they want to do each day.
Okay. There's other questions?
Mayor, and then I'll go down the line.
Yeah, you said that everything was done by word of mouth, so how will you let people know in your targeted group that these scholarships are available?
Do you want me to start? Yeah, go ahead. What I had written into the grant was a little bit over $500 specifically for targeting, marketing, and publicity. What we're looking at is marketing with flyers to libraries, the Park District, PTAs. We're looking, and I'll have Anna address this more, into coordinating with the Washington Early Childhood Center, is it, Anna?
Yeah, it's with the Urbana schools. Yes.
Okay. CCRS, Read Across America, definitely looking into working with the Crisis Nursery. But in order to do this, we need to be focused on it, and we'd also need to have something to offer the individuals. Heretofore, we haven't been able to afford to offer them anything such as a scholarship. So that's what, and I don't know if you want to add a little bit to
the only thing I could say is, in particular with the Crisis Nursery Developmental Services Center, At Developmental Services, the children leave their program at 3, the early child. Lots of times they're put into the public early childhood programs. They might qualify for that or Head Start. But there's that small handful. We have one child in particular that was in our 2s class this year who did not qualify for any of those programs. She'll be continuing in our school in the 3s. So there are some children that come from these Washington Early Childhood. They don't meet the at-risk, technically, training. They have no of the needs to be put into the program. So we just thought if I could contact those people in particular, and they can just say there is a preschool who does have a scholarship available, because many of those families can't afford to pay the child care too.
Great, yeah, Robert?
2 questions. What's your diversity mix at the time, at the present? And the second one would be, how long have you been affiliated with 116?
Okay. Oh, with the Urbana School District, how long have we been affiliated? We are not affiliated with the Urbana. We're private.
Okay.
It's totally tuition based, tuition supported. As far as the diversity, it's less than 1%.
Very much less than 1%. In short, we are not diverse ethnically.
We have, an Asian child, a Latino.
We are diverse in terms of gender and in terms of age, but in terms of ethnicity and cultural backgrounds, we are sorely lacking.
And you have, do you have a program like this with Champaign as well?
We do not.
No, it's
We,
just,
we serve both Urbana and Champaign. And right now, we have about a 50-50 split on that service, and we are anticipating a higher rate of serving the Urbana area for that.
Thank you.
David?
How will you choose who receives the scholarships?
That's a good question.
I've thought in this respect, as far as if they come to us with a need, especially if they're recommended by Developmental Services or the Urbana School Early Childhood, absolutely. You know, we know that the need is there. We also will have them fill out a survey, I guess you could say, with some questions about their needs, what we can offer them, financial needs also.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, yeah, Mayor, go ahead.
So would you be giving these to children from Urbana only?
Hopefully, that is our intention.
We do have a number of children who are in Champaign and who do come to our school from Champaign. I mean, I guess what I can say, quite honestly, is that if that were to be a criteria of obtaining the scholarships, we would certainly comply with that. I mean, I guess our focus at this point is to get some sort of a program going where we can add to that diversity and where we can offer to members of the community what's going to be a wonderful experience for the parent and for the child. And I'm a parent. I'm a little biased. I'm a parent in the school right now. I have a 4-year-old in the school, and she's doing. And we moved here about 6 months ago, and she is doing so well. So it's a great program with great people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Veronica.
All right,
Anna,
thank you.
thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Eileen Gebbe with Habitat for Humanity, and then after that we'll have Michael Marks. So Eileen, welcome.
Thank you.
Habitat for Humanity has a grant application for home ownership through Home Improvement Restore for the Restore project. So Eileen, introduce your colleague. And
This is Patty Darr. She's our Restore Director. Well, thanks for having me back again. It's been so long since I was here last. I hope that, meaning 2 weeks ago, I hope that you'll all be able to join us a week from Friday at the dedication of our 53rd home. It's at 708 North Goodwin, just down the street from Mr. Lewis's home at 5:30 p.m. It's our student chapter build of the Brownlee family. As you know, 6 years ago, our affiliate opened HomeWorks over in Champaign as a way to drive additional income into our affiliate. Right now, the Home Improvement Restore at 119 East University is covering the vast majority of our operating costs, which, as you can imagine, is a really significant gift to our affiliate. And it means that when donors donate to home building, 100% of their donation goes to home building. It doesn't go to volunteer insurance, it doesn't go to salaries, it doesn't go to the electric bill. We expect that in 3 years, not only will Restore support home building through covering operational costs, it will also directly fund home constructions. So it'll cover operations and generate enough additional income that it will directly build homes. And that might seem strange in this economy, but our Restore, like Restores nationwide, is seeing a boom in business. People are coming to us more than ever. And so we're feeling pretty confident about that trend. An unexpected benefit of the Restore is what a resource it has become to other social service agencies. As you saw in the application, we are heavily used by State's Attorney's Office, all 3 Cunningham schools, Urbana School District, and Township itself. And we're very grateful that Township sent us Billy Nash. He was one of your clients, and now he's one of our full-time employees, and you could not find a more honest, hardworking man. No offense to any other men here, but he is a gem, and without Township, we wouldn't have known him. He's fantastic. I think that Restore provides a really safe, comfortable, and respectful environment for people to do their community service hours to earn the benefits offered to them through other agencies, and that's something we're quite proud of. So in response to increased requests from agencies are seeing a greater need. In response to our donors saying, can we please open on Monday so I can drop off my garage sale stuff? And in response to all the people that come in Mondays and are doing this on the front door, we've decided to try to open the store on Mondays as well, putting us more in a regular business model, Mondays through Saturdays. This will increase our revenue, increase the ways we're able to service the community. And so our grant is a request for $25,000. That's the salary for one of the 2 positions we would need in order to open on Mondays. It does not include taxes or insurance. And we do expect that within the year, Restore will cover that cost in itself. And I should add that we are not staffed at the level of a traditional retail store. We are definitely understaffed. That's part of the mission of Habitat, is to balance out your staffing with volunteers, because it's a way we like to say, if you don't want to go out and hammer something or fall off a roof, which has never happened, you can come into the Restore and get first dibs on all the groovy items that come in. So we intentionally understaff, but in order to expand to a 6th day, we would genuinely need additional staffing. So thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just have a comment. I thought I'd clarify the township's role in this. The general assistance recipients who are able-bodied are required to perform 31 hours a month at a site that we send them to, and Restore is one of our valued sites that we're able to send quite a few people there, and it's a good thing.
Dennis?
And if you receive, say, partial funding or something like that, how would you fulfill the rest of the required funding to make that position a viable one and start?
We would draw it out of our general operating account. We would go ahead and do the position anyway and fill it out on our own. It'd be a riskier venture, but we still believe a worthwhile one.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you both very much. Next we have Michael Marks from the Reading Group, and then after him will be Janice McAteer. Michael Marks, welcome.
Hello. I'm here representing the Reading Group. Our director, Kathy Weimer, apologizes, but we had a conflict. We have a board meeting tonight, and of all things, they're getting special training on fundraising. So we're always looking for every opportunity we can to take advantage and expand our services to hit as many people as possible. As our name implies, the Reading Group is concerned about literacy, and we all know how important it is for all of our citizens to be as strong in reading as possible. And our goal is to provide that for as many people as possible, and we especially concentrate on students who have very unique learning needs. The Reading Group does assessment services. We do one-on-one sessions with the children, and I am a teacher, so I can answer any questions on what directly goes on with the students here. I'm also the technical support, so that's part of the reason that I'm here tonight. We've been serving residents of Urbana, Champaign, and the surrounding area for 37 years now, and we really appreciate the support for scholarship students that the Urbana Council has given us in the past. Currently, we're serving 300 students so far this year. 50 of those students are scholarship students, and we're always looking for ways to expand the access to the program and to expand our literacy support. And we do have a very diverse group of children who come through our program, and we're very proud of that also. We have a strong commitment to really providing access as much as possible. As I've said, we work closely with all the local school districts. We also are approved as a provider for the supplemental educational services. We also work with the Child Disability Clinic in Carl, both referring students and working with students that they refer to us. So we have a lot of connections in the community. In addition, we provide training programs for teachers and parents, and we have some outreach services for early childhood. One of the things that we're coming to you today for is, instead of asking for just some straight scholarship money for Urbana residents, we are really excited, and we're actually piloting right now, it's been about a month, a brand new software program that really allows us to expand the access to literacy development. There's a new program called Lexia, and we've been using an old program with this, but they've enhanced this and they've made it web-based. With a lot of the services that we provide, repeated practice and support and some guided practice really makes a huge difference in the foundation skills of literacy, from phonemic awareness from very basic children to working on basic phoneme identification to working on multisyllable words. The program that we're asking funding for allows us to let children use this outside of our site anywhere there is a computer hooked up to the internet. This is so exciting, and we think that especially the scholarship students who are less able to go out and take advantage of lots of other supports will be able to use this in their own home. They can use it in after-school programs. They can use it in the library. So we can meet with them one time a week, and another 4 or 5 times a week they can be working on skills that we set for them. Another really exciting component of this is we have remote access and individualization of what the children are doing. So we can see where they're making their errors, where they need support, what sorts of things they need extra practice on. We can provide some additional teaching that specifically addresses those issues, but then at home they can go through and independently work on these. We're really excited about this because there's so many potentials for this. And we really think it especially addresses a lot of the needs of our scholarship students, because it just opens up a whole other wealth of supports that they're going to be able to take advantage of. There's another interesting side thing that we're seeing. Often in families, it's not just one person that has some literacy needs. It's often the parents and siblings, and with this program being available at the home, parents can see it, parents can get information from it, siblings can do it, so we can be really reaching a wide audience and really having a major impact. I've been using it for about a month now. I'm getting great responses from the kids who are using it, and we're just really, really excited about it. What we're asking for this year is site licenses for 15 sites, which would allow each of our teachers access to that in their classroom, plus be able to put their students on it for home. This is a one-time fee. It is not a recurring fee, so we won't be coming back next year asking for the same funding for this. This is a really exciting opportunity with some new technology that we think is really going to be able to expand and enhance the services we've been able to provide. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Yeah, Carol.
Do you have any idea how many of your students don't have computers at home?
Thank you. Yes, and we're actually
Quite a few
checking
people
on
don't.
that. And the information that we're getting is and they're talking about the penetration rate of the internet and things in people's homes. It's in the 82, 85%, and our population seems to be covering that pretty well. The exciting thing about this is it doesn't have to be their own home computer, because we can set things up so that they can use it with any computer that has internet access. So we can work with the libraries to make a computer available for them, or an after-school program that they attend, make it available to them so that they'll be able to use that in a variety of things. And that's one of the really exciting components of that.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Any other questions? Oh, yeah,
Actually,
David.
just a quick clarification. The 15 licenses doesn't mean 15 students, it means 15 classrooms and however many students are
15
associated with
site licenses, so this way, each teacher would be able to have one in their classroom, plus we would be able to put students on it at home. So it gives us a wide number of students that we can do it. It's not restricted to only 15 students would be able to use it, correct?
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Janice McAteer with the Developmental Services Center. Hi, Janice. And then after Janice will be Corey Burrows.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us. On behalf of the Board of Directors of DSC, we appreciate very much the opportunity to come and talk with you guys this evening a little bit, maybe answer some of your questions and share a little information about DSC. As you guys know, we have 2 grant applications in, so a little bit of what I say is going to cover both of those, and then I can be a little bit specific about each of those programs as well. As all of you probably know, DSC is in business to help people with disabilities, both children and adults. We cover children ages 0 to 5, and then after high school, so 21 through end of life. That middle area is when they get services in the school system. So to kind of just put that out there as a basis, the 2 grant applications that we have submitted one is for Employment Services Program and the other is for the Apartment Services Program. And first I will talk and highlight a little bit about the Employment Services. We have requested $30,000 for one staff position, which you see. I think a couple of things that are important to maybe talk about in this particular program, and really this hits both of them, but to maybe just address. Back in 2004, I'm sure you're aware that we passed the Developmental Disabilities Board with a lot of DSC's efforts. I think one thing that we want to remind funders is that money was initially brought to DSC, and we apply for that through a grant process every year. But that money was earmarked for new services. So it did increase the number of people that we serve. And in some ways it increased not only, perhaps you might have somebody that needed 3 days of occupational therapy, but before that passed they were only getting 1 day of occupational therapy. So passing that, it allowed for enhanced services of individuals that we were currently providing services for, and then also new services. So we went from, in 2004, from serving about 800 to 1,000 people to this last fiscal year serving over 1,400. So in that's all very exciting and very important, but I think one area that has left a gap that is not really, we certainly haven't forgotten about it, but we're out kind of drumming it up to let other people know that the services for which we have requested this position will actually not overlap that funding. This is for services of existing consumers that were receiving services prior to 2004. So when funding issues like this are not met or that we lose funding, it does risk the reduction of services. So even though in some ways that money has obviously been very helpful, it doesn't cover everything going back from day one or going back from 10 years ago or serving someone that's been in the program for many years. Everybody is aware of the state of Illinois, the state of the state, the way that is. I mean, that, very significantly impacts DSC. We certainly realize the local funders, both city, foundations, community foundation, all the different things cannot make up for that. I mean, the state has to figure some of this stuff out. But what it does do is leave us operating at losses and does put services at risk. By the DHS funding reduction, this particular program has been affected by over $42,000. Our maintenance of services is our #1 goal at DSC. The last thing that we want to do is to have told a family, hey, we've got services for your loved one, and then say, I'm really sorry, we have to take those away now. So maintaining services is of the utmost importance. I feel like we work really hard internally to do that. We work with a very slim management team, and our management costs in comparison to what our budget is very, very small for not-for-profit agencies. But it does get to a point that you cannot continue to, we have a hiring freeze right now for everything except our residential program. And you can only do that for so long to where you either have to decide to reduce services and or hire someone. The other thing that's really important about the employment services program at this point in time is the economy as it is. Jobs are way more difficult to come by for all of us in general. And then you add the fact that a lot of these folks that we're helping out have some special needs and some developmental disabilities that need some extra support. Jobs are even more difficult to come by. So having an employment services individual, staff member that goes out and helps with that and ensures the success for those people that are in the field of, getting their first job or, working for 10 years at the job they've been doing is very, very important. So I do want to mention to you that 33.9% of the people being served in that particular program are Urbana residents. So it does reach into Urbana without a doubt in a fairly large way. So that's a little bit about that I wanted to bring to you. I certainly am happy to take questions before I move on to the next program so that maybe it doesn't cause confusion.
Are there any general questions? Okay, yeah, go ahead. I know that the employment services program and the apartment services program are the two.
So moving on to that one, again, we've requested the same, well, really not the same, but the same amount for two separate positions, one for the apartment services case manager. That program also has been affected by state cuts, and that currently operates at about a $25,000 loss. In both of these cases, we certainly realize that coming to you with a $30,000 request may not be something that you can reach into your pocket and provide, albeit you would love to, but you are working within constraints as well. So if partial funding is something that the council is willing to do, obviously that would be of great help to us too. In this particular program, the Apartment Services Program, we do not receive any Developmental Disability Board or Mental Health Board money. So this is not one that we can even apply for grants for. It's just not available. And again, maintenance is a huge goal in this area too. If we have somebody out that's been placed in an apartment, if we had to reduce services, it could mean one of a couple of things. One, it could mean that we were not able to place anybody new in their apartment because we wouldn't have someone available to help with the kinds of supports that that individual needs, which is not a very good feeling. But the next one is even a worse feeling, and that is if we have someone placed in an apartment that, say, is currently getting 10 hours a week of supportive services, that because of reductions in the things that we're facing ends up being, I'm sorry, we have to pull back to 5. It could be the result of that individual not being successful in that living environment, which obviously is not something that we want to see. In this particular program, 56.3% of the people being served are Urbana residents. So that kind of gives you a highlight of that program. At this point, I just want to say, too, that I'm assuming, which I think is a fairly safe assumption in all honesty, that you guys are very familiar. I know many of you that have sat on the council for a while are certainly familiar. Some of the newer faces, if we could offer you a tour and some additional information about DSC and the programs and services that we provide, I think it's sometimes very helpful because it is an agency that serves through five or six program areas, depending on how you count them, and our overall annual budget's about $12 million, and we're about the 90-point-some-odd% of service provider for all people with developmental disabilities in our area. So it is, we reach out and touch a lot of people. So any questions on that one?
Any questions? Yeah, Diane, go ahead.
When you, this is regarding the employment program,
Okay.
Do you make an effort to place Urbana residents with Urbana businesses, or do they sometimes work in Champaign, or is there a guideline or anything?
That's a good question, and honestly what it boils down to is what's the best fit for that person. Okay. If they live, especially if they're in the apartment services program or another program where they live in Urbana, then obviously it's going to be much more helpful for them to stay within their community, and if we can find a job in that area, that is an area that they would address. But the first thing they're going to look at is making the best match for the individual.
Any other questions? Okay, well,
Thanks
thank you
so
very
much for your
Janice.
time. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Corey Burrows. Corey is from Big Brothers Big Sisters with a proposal for the Prairie Elementary School site mentoring. And Corey, I'll let you introduce your colleague here.
I'm joined by Sarah Fertig, who is our program manager.
Welcome.
Thank you for allowing me to be here to talk a little bit about our application, our organization. Just to give you a little bit of information about Big Brothers Big Sisters, we are the oldest, largest mentoring organization in the United States. We have over 100 years experience of mentoring. We are the gold standard of mentoring. I think most people will look at us as the experts in the field. And because of the highly consistent outcomes we provide for children. We've been providing mentoring to children in Urbana and Champaign County for over 10 years now. During that time, we have placed over 1,000 mentors in 1,000 children's lives. The mission of Big Brothers Big Sisters is to provide quality one-to-one mentoring relationships to children to assist them in reaching their highest potential, working with children who are considered at risk because of factors in their life, whether that be coming from a low-income home, coming from a home with a single-parent family where a parent is absent due to divorce, abandonment, incarceration, death of a parent, alcohol, drug abuse issues within the home. Our children are at risk for various reasons. What we do is we work to help these children by matching them with an adult who helps to keep these children from engaging in destructive behaviors that will put them on the wrong path. We work to try to help them develop assets, positive assets, that will eventually lead to their graduation from high school, that they will gain employment in our community or go on to college. As far as the application that was submitted to you, what we are asking for is monies to expand our school-based mentoring program in the Urbana schools, because we and not only our agency but the volunteer coordinators in the schools see a great need. We often get referrals for children who need the services, but because of the limited staffing and limited amount of budget, we're unable to process all of those requests. Our project, we did pilot in Prairie Elementary. That's why that was on the application. But what we're looking to do is not only expand our services in Prairie, but to expand to other Urbana elementary schools. We know that there is a great need in Urbana. The 2008 report card showed that 60% of the students in the district were considered low income, which is 19% higher than the state average. And we know that 3 of the elementary schools exceed the 60% rate, with 2 exceeding 80%, Prairie and King. We know that we can make a difference in children's lives if we give them somebody positive that is there to support them. Your money would go to helping us to hire more staff, which then can provide the mentoring services. Mentoring, you know, it's one of those words that sometimes you throw out there and people think it's an easy concept, just taking an adult and placing them with a child, but it's a very structured process, which includes screening, training, ongoing support for the mentor and the child to make sure that positive outcomes are achieved for the youth in the program. So currently we have 60 volunteers who are interested in being matched with a child. We just have no way to match them, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of volunteers in this community who want to step up and help a child. Unfortunately, we just don't have the staff to be able to make that possible at this time. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about our proposal.
Any questions for Corey or Sarah? Yeah, Dennis, go ahead.
So how is the interaction of your organization fulfilled in the public schools? Do you meet with the children in the daytime, or is this an right after school event, or is it totally at the availability of the individual mentor?
The school-based mentoring program was developed to allow mentors who can't give evenings or weekends the opportunity to go out during a school day and mentor over a lunch hour. So most often it's going to take place during that school day. The good thing about our program, too, is that whenever the school year ends, a lot of times those mentors want to continue that relationship with that child. They want to be able to continue to have that relationship over the summer months. And with our program, we're able to transition those mentors and children into our community-based program over a summer time to keep that relationship going. So whenever they come back in the fall, you know, they still have that commitment and relationship still going.
Diane?
So how will you coordinate with the Urbana school-based mentoring program run by Barb Linder? I mean, how does, I'm a little confused on.
We work hand in hand with CU One-to-One,
Right.
in that we have to, basically our program does all the same things as their program does, in that we have the same screening and training, and actually ours is a little bit more in depth. So we have to fulfill all the Urbana School District guidelines for getting our mentors screened and trained. But as far as placing them into the schools, we then work with their coordinators to select the children that are considered at risk and placing them into the schools. As far as
Placing your volunteers into the schools.
placing our volunteers into the schools. So basically, we're trying to help CU One-to-One by bringing in more mentors for more of their children. It's just that we don't receive any of the funds that CU One-to-One gets. We're not funded at all by that project or by the schools.
So you're taking the kids who are more at risk than CU One-to-One is handling, is that?
I would say we're probably handling this, we are handling the same types of children, but we don't duplicate services in that they provide a mentor to the same child that we're providing a mentor to.
Yeah, Dennis, go ahead.
So you mentioned Prairie School, and you also mentioned King. Do you have an ongoing program at King at this time?
No, we do not. Whenever we started working in the schools, what we did not want to do was spread ourselves too thin. That's why we really selected one school and put all of our energy into trying to, match more children in that school. We try to deal with fewer schools, more children matched in those schools, because if we try to take on 10, 15, 20 schools, here in Champaign County, we just don't have the staffing to be able to do that.
Yeah, Diane?
Just to clarify, so if you got these funds, you would expand your program to all Urbana elementary schools, or you would stay in one?
No, we would expand our program services at Prairie, but then we would probably look at taking on 1 to 2 additional elementary schools.
Just elementary.
And we would look at trying to target, the ones that would be considered more at risk, the ones with higher populations of low-income students. And then we do also work with Urbana Middle School. So as our students transition from the elementary to the middle school, we do try to have those mentors follow with them to the middle school as well, because that's a tough transition for a lot of students.
Great. Yeah. Okay, Robert, and then the mayor.
Approximately how long would a mentor stay with a child starting in elementary?
We ask for at least a 1-year commitment, regardless of what program they mentor in. We want at least 1 year from the mentor. We try to set it up to last for 2 to 3 years minimum. Sometimes we have them last much longer, and sometimes they, last only a year and end.
Thank you.
Mayor?
I just wondered about the relative size of your program versus the one that's run by the schools. Is theirs a much bigger program than yours? In terms of number of students?
I can't really speak to how many matches that CU One-to-One currently runs in the schools. I'm not really familiar with how many mentors they have placed with children. Our program, overall, we serve about 100 children right now currently in the community. And then with our school-based mentoring, it was 21 as in the application here.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you both, Corey and Sarah, for joining us.
Thank you.
Next, we have Janice Mitchell from Urbana School District about the Sanfoca project. I hope I pronounced that right, Janice.
Sankofa.
Sankofa. Thank you. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. And I also would like to just thank everyone for allowing me the opportunity to present more information regarding the Sankofa project, and then more specific, the proposed Sankofa Neighborhood Connections project, which I am requesting funding from the social services funding. Again, my name is Janice Mitchell, and I am currently serving as the Parent and Community Outreach Coordinator for Urbana School District. Reference to the Sankofa project, I know you all have included in your packet just a brief overview, but I will just take a minute just to say the Sankofa project actually began as a very grassroots effort that began with about 5 students that lived in the East Urbana neighborhoods near Scottswood who were making transitions at that time to the middle school. And because of concerns with parents about the transition for math particularly, we worked with a seventh grade teacher at Urbana Middle School who took those 5 students on, and throughout that summer, and met at Urbana Free Library 3 days a week, and actually kind of prepared them, exposed them to the math that they were going to be having in the middle school. As following those students and realized how well they did, we decided the next summer, meaning just a group of parents who also wanted our students to perform at above grade level, decided to work with the same teacher, but to also expand to other students. And I think by the second summer, we had about approximately 15 students. We actually worked with the church that is directly across from Prairie School. I think it's the Four Squares Living Hope Church, and that pastor who gave us space to service those students. And by the third summer, we were at Greater Holy Temple, all the way on the other side of Urbana, but they gave us free space. We didn't have any monies. We didn't have any monies to pay the teacher, nor to provide snacks or materials, but we all kind of, as parents, pulled together our monies. By the third summer, I think we had about 35 students that we only kind of serviced half a day, and we had expanded from math to math and reading in preparing those students in the middle school for what to expect for the fall. After the third year or summer, and realizing the benefits to those students and monitoring those students, and at that time I was not hired. I have to back up. I was not hired in Urbana School District. I was a very involved parent and concerned with the students in our neighborhood. But by that fourth summer, we had presented to Urbana School Board, gave them numbers, grades, and at that time they decided that it would be benefits to actually add a little monies to help us out that next summer. And by the fourth summer is when we had picked up full speed ahead and serviced approximately 50 to 60 students. We worked with the county, who allowed us space at the Brookins building, one wing of Brookins, because it was accessible to those students out in that area, riding bikes, walking over, parents dropping off, even in rain, walking with the umbrellas. But we were at Brookins from approximately about 8:30 in the morning until 4:30, and we had a wing to ourselves, and we were able to service those students. At the same time, using some of Urbana's funds, as well as some of those same parents who are very invested, put together monies so we could actually donate to those teachers who had agreed to help us. Currently, and I'll just jump full speed ahead, although we've been housed in different locations in Urbana, we have managed the last several summers to be at either Prairie Elementary or Urbana Middle School. For the last 3 summers or so, we have serviced between 85 students on a daily basis from about 8:30 in the morning until 4:30 in the evening. What I am doing at this point is hoping to begin and I'm going to say, because I know that Mr. Snyder has heard me, as well as Kelly in the past have said, we are going to have a neighborhood center one day in East Urbana. I don't know how, I don't know where I'm going to get the monies, but there's a great need, and I've said this for years, and just in other meetings I've been in, because there is the need in East Urbana to house a site for children and families to be served. This year, I have been working with the Housing Authority and just talking really over the past year or more, just like, we need a space, we don't have a space. And I am grateful that as of this past Thursday, they have kind of cleaned out the former Harley-Davidson building, and they are going to allow the school district in a collaborative agreement to at least house some summer activities in that building. Now, there's still some other groundwork that has to be laid. And we're hoping that it will serve as an evening site, meaning hopefully an intervention for some of the activities that are not the most helpful and productive activities of some of the older students, some of the middle school and high school students that reside out in that area. So therefore, the Sankofa Neighborhood Project, Neighborhood Initiative, will just be an extension of our day programming. We currently serve kids between 8:30 and 4:30 or 5, and what we're hoping to do is to expand services, and beginning at about 5 o'clock, that we actually begin programming out there for some of those middle school and high school students until approximately 9:30 in the evening, to give them something to do. I currently have a proposal in, hopefully with the summer youth employment through the workforce investment and the funding that they've had, to provide career exploration. I've been working and talking with certain people who are interested in maybe beginning sewing, beginning small mechanics, woodworking, building birdhouses, constructive activities in the evening for the students in East Urbana. I'm hoping that we're able to continue to partner with or collaborate with Urbana Police Department, who has been very active during all of our years during the summer, to come out, hold mini sessions, talk about the whole what we don't want to see and how to prevent juvenile delinquency and others. The Mental Health Center has been very involved and active in making certain that we have some of their therapists that come out for our Sankofa programs and do life skills activities, and we're hoping to just kind of expand that over into evening services. The funding that I am requesting would actually help provide a small stipend for some of the staff that will be working with us, but more so help us to purchase some of those game activities, or maybe the monitors or the TVs that we may need, one or two, and provide the actual equipment that we're going to need to make it a successful program for those students in the evening. So at this time, I'd like to just take questions and clarify.
Great.
Okay.
What questions for Jen?
You covered it pretty good.
Yeah.
I can ask one.
Okay, Robert.
You accepting donations?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am. And I wanted to just make certain that I didn't call Mr. Lewis out, because Mr. Lewis knows that for many, many years I don't even know, I know he's I've continued to say, what can we do to get a center in East Urbana? And it may not be a center, but eventually I think that we're definitely laying the foundation to hopefully one day have a location to service those children and families. We don't quite have everything just yet, but we're getting there. Yes.
Great. Any other questions? None? Okay, thank you very much, Janice.
Thank you all.
Then our last presenters tonight are from the Urbana-Champaign Independent Media Center. We have Jason Keist and Nicole Pion. I hope I pronounced your names right. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but feel free to come on up and grab some seats here at the table. The little black thing in the middle of the table is the microphone, so we can all hear you, and people at home can too.
Prepared a PowerPoint. Can someone assist me possibly?
Great. Yeah, I think we can do PowerPoint if you, plug the USB drive into that computer and wake it up. I think we should be able to find it. Perfect. Great. So go ahead and introduce yourselves and say your names correctly, because I know I might have gotten them wrong.
My name is Jason Keist. I'm currently the Program Development Coordinator at the Independent Media Center. I'm an intern from the School of Social Work.
And my name is Nicole Pian. I'm an AmeriCorps volunteer with the Independent Media Center, serving as an outreach and development advisor. I've been there since July of 2008. Thank you.
And I actually printed out a logic model. I have 7 copies. I don't know if that's enough. If I could approach the council and distribute.
Yeah, that's fine. You can leave them, with the clerk here, Phyllis, on your left, and she can distribute some to the group. And maybe I'll leave my copy with you, Kelly, so that you can photocopy and have a copy of this too in case other people ask for it at some point. Okay, great. You got one? Perfect. Well, welcome. So
how are you doing?
Tell us about your project and your proposal in about 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll ask you some questions.
Okay. Well, the program we're proposing is entitled the Indie Media and Arts Lab. It's going to be housed out of the IMC in downtown Urbana. And really I wanted to open up by saying, due to the recession we are currently experiencing, the jobs that have been lost in our communities have adversely affected services being provided to youth and their families. The program we are proposing aims to answer the call for local organizations to provide affordable, quality human services to those in need. And we feel this program does just that. So really the primary goals of this program are to provide affordable, accessible summer programming, as well as job opportunities for individuals with low incomes. We'll do this by, I see 3 components within the category of families with low incomes. I see 3 subgroups. The first are obviously the participants, which are the youth. So we're going to provide visual and media arts programming and education to 50 area youth. As well, we're also with the same monies going to present 40 families with affordable summer activity options. As well, the staff members, the teachers are going to be, they're going to be 7 experienced artists, educators. They're also going to have employment opportunities. Really, this program is trying to empower young people to think critically, tell their stories using multi-mediums, as well as express themselves in a positive way. We're going to, although we're targeting families with low incomes and individuals with low incomes, we're not going to deny anyone participation in the program based on their income status. We aim to fill the gap in youth programming left by the closing of the Urban League, the Urbana Boys and Girls Club, as well as Crystal Lake Pool. So why the IMC? The IMC has a long-standing commitment to forming and engaging community partners. I wanted to read a quick list of some stats, really. We've sponsored over 54 international media and arts programs. We've had 1,200 active volunteers at this moment. And last year alone, over 60,000 hours of volunteer time had been volunteered at the IMC. We've provided free service to 52 local organizations, and some of those include the Don Moyers Boys and Girls Club, UPTV, the Historic East Urbana Neighborhood Association, the Ready School, the Champaign Park District, United Way, and the Developmental Services Center. So the IMC is really one of the few all-ages venue. We've been called third place for area youth, where youth come and feel safe and are engaged in multiple activities. We're also a hub of creative expression and grassroots energy. So within the first floor, we have 7,000 square feet of space. In the lower level, that's where we have our artists and resident studios, art studios downstairs. Also, within that 7,000 square feet on the first floor, we use that as gallery and performance space. You can expand on that this past weekend. As well, we have media production labs, and we also have a radio station we can utilize.
Yeah, absolutely. Since I've been at the IMC, I've seen some really incredible growth in the programming that we have to offer. And on the first floor alone, we have a radio station, we have a stage, and when Jason was referring to it being a third place for youth, it's one of the only places where people under 18 can come and perform music in a safe, alcohol-free environment. And so this weekend was a really great example of everything the IMC has to offer. We had almost 30 different bands who played over the course of the weekend and 20 different visual artists showing their work in this space. So we really have the potential to engage youth, and what the funding from this program will do is give us the ability to hire people who can take advantage of the resources and the space and the talent and provide their knowledge to local youth this summer.
So this is a glance at the curriculum we've so far been planning. First, African drumming, radio production, print publishing, painting, video production, poetry and literacy through spoken word, gardening, as well as crafts and graphic design. The last slide is an educator profile. These are just some of the educators we have lined up at this moment. The first is Miss Amira Davis. She's a tenured community advocate, instructor, and doctoral candidate. She's going to focus on drumming and how this relates to African culture. I want to point out, to each class size is going to be a 5-to-1 ratio, so each teacher is just going to have 5 students. So it's very individualized and focused and driven by the students themselves. The second educator is Betsham Benjamin. He's a Cameroonian painter. He's an artist in resident right now at the IMC. He's got a studio downstairs, and he'll be here until December. And then after this, I think he's heading out to San Diego.
And this is his work that you see on the slide
Yes, this
here.
is his painting. Tatiana Mays, she's been a spoken word poet since age 13, and she's studying to be a history professor. And Jacob Barton, he's an accomplished composer from Virginia and a teacher in music. He designs instruments as well as builds them. And we're open for any questions.
Thanks. What questions do members of the committee have? Yeah, Diane?
How do you determine what youth will be admitted to the program? Do you have criteria, income criteria, and that sort of thing?
Well, we're in the process of creating intake application. We're going through, I've been in contact with all the Champaign and Urbana middle schools and high schools. So we're going to find students by going through the schools, as well as Amira Davis has a lot of experience with programming, so she knows, she has a lot of contacts she gets in touch with. And we'll determine income by probably state guidelines.
So these are Champaign kids as well as Urbana
Champaign
kids?
and Urbana, but the majority is going to be Urbana kids.
Dennis?
So this is going to be basically a summer program. Are you going to be offering the program in like 3 or 4 week segments, allowing turnover in participants, or is this going to be a long summer camp experience in depth?
Well, right now, this is the first time we've begun this program. So we see it in 2 sessions, and each session is going to be 10 days, 2 weeks, 5 during the weekdays. So it'll be 2 sessions. And really, this is, in a sense, in a pilot program, in a sense. So ideally, we would love to spread this to next year, gain our knowledge, what we are doing now, build upon that knowledge, and then next year we can do a full summer program. That would be wonderful.
Any other questions? Okay, Jason, Nicole, thanks very much.
Thank you.
That is our last presentation for the evening. Before we adjourn, I wondered, Kelly, whether you had any instructions or announcements for us as we proceed to review applications and turn in to you our reviews and ratings. Is there
Right.
anything important we need to know about the timeline from here on out?
Well, pretty much now is discussion. So, and I need to meet with David to see how he wants to do things as well. So as far as everybody's received the matrix, which has the funding and the eligibility and previous funding. So that's what needs to be filled out. So I guess, as far as the timeline, I need to meet with David first and see how he wants to, submit it to him, submit it to me, how we want to do this. And then, I can probably, come like next week and let everybody know more of like the timeline.
Okay, great. Yeah, we'll look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, David. You inherited a hard job putting together all these things, but thank you. Okay, well, with that, this special meeting is adjourned, and it is about 6:45, so we have about 15 minutes until the city council meeting this evening. Thank you all.